his name. Glory to his name. Let us stand. Hallelujah. Amen. God bless you. Thank you for joining us tonight. Trust you've had a great day. If you've been on top of the ground, no matter what you encountered, it's been a great day. We bless the Lord tonight. If you hadn't already shared the link, we want you to go ahead and share the link. Wake up your timeline. Maybe somebody else need to know that we are on, that we are getting ready to do our Bible study. I want to thank everybody who joined us last week for that virtual revival. I tell you, I felt better after having been revived. Pastor Mitchell, even though it was previously recorded, blessed our hearts because the Word of God is always ever alive. And I want to appreciate you for sharing each night, logging on and worshiping, even though we were doing it virtually. Tonight, Matthew chapter 5, if you will, Matthew 5, and we started at verse 14 through 16. We are talking about how to brighten up your light. Now, the believer is supposed to be light. The believer is supposed to be light. The text tonight, Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 through 16, is where we are heading tonight. So if you want to get your Bible, you can come along. Those of you who have the materials, this is lesson number 12, brightening up your light. And we want to just get a running start since we were not together last week. We want to get a running start and move forward, because the first thing the author suggested to us is we're going to brighten up our light. We had to consider what light is. And I spent just a little time sharing with you, just a little time talking to you about what light is and how we derive our light. Our light is derived from the light, and the light of the world is Jesus Christ. And so we are called upon then to let the light that we have shine. The optical illustration is, if we would look in the constellations, the sun is the light. When God made the world, he said for the sun to rule by day, and then the moon was commanded to be the lesser light. Now the moon gets its light from the sun. This is just basic science 101, early middle school. The sun is the light, and then the moon, depending on its position between the earth and the sun, appears to us to have light. But what it's really doing is it is reflecting the light that bounces off the sun onto the moon, and then a full moon, we know, can give light. We don't get the impact of a full moon unless we are out in the rural area. For those of you who from the country, before they got street lights, understand the impact of a full moon. It's almost like, hey, you got a light. And then when with those days when there is no moon and you from the country, you knew how dark it was. So the moon's light comes from the sun. The believer's light comes from the capital S-O-N, Son, Jesus Christ. Now, the text says that the city that sits on a hill cannot be hidden. That's what the text says. The city that sits on the hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick. It giveth light unto all that are in the house. Our candlestick today would be a lamp. Nobody turns a lamp on and then hide it. The lamp is turned on to provide light for everybody in the room. That's what physical light do for us. We get up, we turn the light on because we want our way lightened as we walk, especially when the sun goes down and it's dark. So we use the light to lighten the room. So that is the purpose of light, is to provide light. Now, Jesus said, you are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. Not that you're going to become or you shall be. He said you are. If you're a child of God and you've been born again, then you are light. Now, what happens with that light, it depends on how close we are to the light. So you can get too far away from the light and then start controlling the little light you have in you. But if you're going to be spirit-filled under the power of the Holy Ghost, then you are light, and your light comes from the light. Let the church say the light. The sun, S-O-N. Just like the moon depends on the S-U-N for light, we as believers, we as children of God, depend upon Jesus to provide for us the light that we have. So he opens up the text here and he says, ye are the light of the world. If this world has any hope, it has that hope found in those who are already believers. Because we found out that even we were in darkness. We were the children of darkness and disobedience when we walked without Christ. When we walked without Christ, we did our own thing. And so we then was in darkness. But thanks be to God, he shined on us his marvelous light, called us out of darkness into light. Now, once we are saved, then he says that ye are the light of the world. We are the ones to point men to Christ. The believer is the ones who have already been saved. It is our express responsibility then to show the way. It's our express responsibility to show the way. But listen, if you turn on a flashlight, put it in your hand, you turn a flashlight on, what happens? If it's got good batteries, it just turns to light. And it shines and it shows the way. So when we are believers and we have been changed, then we come into the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. Then our job is to point others to Jesus. The Lord said it like this: if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me. Our purpose is not for the world to look at us and brag on us. Our purpose is for the world to see us and see Jesus through us. So we gotta be light. And so he said that a city that is set on an hill cannot be hid. And that's self-explanatory. If you're traveling a long distance and have come out of one city to another from interstate travel, you can see that city in the distance before you get there because all of the street lights illumine the sky and you know you're nearing a city. And Jesus said, now that city that sits on the hill cannot be hid. So some of you need to get up off your light. I'm going to let you catch that one. Some of us need to get up off of our light. Because now you do know, can I talk to you for a minute and testify, stay in the church, shock my neighbor, make it to heaven anyway. But can I talk to you for a minute? You do know that when we get ready to do us, we don't want no light. I'm going to say that one more time for the folk in the back. When we get ready to do us, we don't want no lights. Y'all remember what Teddy said, didn't you? Turn out the lights, light a candle. I wish I had somebody here. Jesus said it like this: evil men love darkness. Any former club goers in the house, anybody used to do it, you know, out in the club. You didn't want the club to be lit. Man, who turned the lights off? Most of us watch TV in the dark. Y'all gonna talk to me in a minute. We just don't like light. And Jesus said now that a man does not light a candle and then put it on the bushel, but he puts it on the candlestick so that it can be seen by all men. So now, if I get ready to do something that I know is not becoming light, I got to hide my light. Yeah, I got to put on me some shades, put on me a hat. I got to set the time right. I got to make sure the sun is, y'all ain't going to talk to me. Make sure the sun is gone down. I say, look, meet me at dark because I'm up to something evil. So believers have to get their light hidden because Jesus said you are light. He said that you are light. And so many of us need to get up off your light. Tell your neighbor on the time, like, get up off your light. We're hiding it. We're hiding it. We're hiding it in our actions. We're hiding it in our attitudes. We need to get up off of our light. So he said now, let your light so shine. Now, that word let means get out the way and let light do its thing. You don't have to create the light because it's not your light. The light that you have in you comes from above. It is the life of Jesus. And so if I'm going to let my light shine, it's just like when you came into the room that you may be in right now. If there was no light in that room, all you did was flip the switch. And when you flip the switch, you lit the light. You stopped that breaker from keeping the electricity from getting to the bulb to let the light do what it's supposed to do, and that's shine. So Jesus said that you don't have to make light shine. Light is designed to shine. Listen, don't you hear God in Genesis chapter 1 saying, let there be? And the Bible said there was light. Y'all ain't listening. He didn't say, light, be light, start shining, do your thing. He said, let there be, and there was light. And light came into existence, and then he said he divided it from the night and the day, the sun to rule over the day, and gave the moon the job of ruling over the night because it was the lesser light. What you saying, preacher? I'm saying that many of you go out the way to convince folk that you have a light when you really do not have light. Jesus said you don't have to do nothing to be light. Just do who you are. Be yourself in Christ and you will be light. If you be who God designed you to be, you're going to be light. Because we've come out of darkness into the marvelous light. He saved us. So what he's really saying to me, Larry Hawkins, get out the way, get self out the way, and let light shine. If a man come after me, if he come after me, akaluo is the word. It means to step where I step. If he follows after me, then let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. And so I don't have to, listen, the baby when it comes here with everything it needs to have to look like it looks when it's 35. It's in the package. When it's born, he has in the package, he got 32 teeth, he got 2 eyes, 2 ears, 10 toes. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's all in the package. And if he just grow up and don't have no cosmetic surgery, don't try to change who he is, God is already from the factory designed how he's going to look. I'm going to get somebody to help me here in a minute. And so if that be the case, that if biologically my mama and my daddy can put so many chromosomes together in a sperm and an egg, and we call it DNA, and I can almost determine at least my facial features from looking at my daddy. You know, some folk don't have to have them to testify. They just look at some folk and yeah, you look like somebody physically. Sometimes, Jones, it skip a generation. But you can go back up the bloodline. In fact, because see, I couldn't understand how I could get with Sister Hawkins and we produce a 6'7" son when I'm barely 6'1"ish. But I went back through the bloodline and I found out I had some uncles because I'm taller than my daddy was. But I had some uncles in my family. They were lumberjacks. They were tall fellas. So it was in the bloodline. Now, well, if you understand biologically that it's just some stuff in your bloodline that makes you look like you look and act like you act, talk like you talk, walk like you walk, then what in the green bean, mashed potatoes, and carrots you don't understand that if you've been born again, you can't keep acting the way you act when you was in darkness. Your speech has to change when you come into the light. Your walk has to change when you come into the light. Anybody gonna help me here tonight? When we come into the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ, he says here in verse 16 of the 5th chapter of Matthew, he says, let. You know how it is when you tired of being somewhere, say, let me go. Ain't nobody holding you, but you're announcing the fact that you leaving. And you really saying, don't try to prohibit me because I'm out of here. So he's saying, really give your light permission to do what it's designed to do. That's what he was trying to get us to understand. But let's look at this thing here. If we look at the consequences of hiding our light in that 14th verse, B section, and then verse 15. Light dispels darkness, therefore light is only needed when there is darkness. See, our problem when we were in the church house is it was just a whole lot of light shining on light. And we didn't need that much light. You know, I'd come in here and I'd talk about my little testimony, you talk about your little testimony, but it wasn't much darkness in here because all of us were satellites. We all had light. But now we are in our homes, and there's some folk in our homes that don't know Jesus. So this is really where our light ought to be shining. And I know you've been put up with these folk, you know, you've been put up with these folk all this time, and they sick of you and you sick of them, and you really want to say some stuff to them that is not becoming light. Now, how am I going to be a witness to tell somebody that you ought to choose Burger King over McDonald's if I can't testify that I've tried them both? Oh, you missed me right through there. See, you can't make people think that you have never done anything wrong. All of a sudden, you just wound up holy. There's got to be some transparency here, Jones. Somebody got to tell the truth. I once was lost in sin. That's what the lyrics say. I once was lost in sin, but then a light from heaven filled my soul. And so we got to be careful that we are not hiding our light. And all of us are guilty of that. I think that's why we are having church the way we're having it right now, because we got a little too comfortable in the church house. And we forgot about the biblical mandate. You know, the Lord's greatest command cannot be the church's least concern. And his greatest command was what? Go ye therefore into all the world. That was the command. Matthew chapter 28, starting around by verse 18, 19, right long and through that. You're running to that. Go ye therefore into all the world. And we went to 1509 DuPont Avenue. And for some of us, that was it. And we hung out over there and bragged on each other and praised each other and left. And God said, okay, if you won't go, I'll stop you from going where you've been going and see what you're going to do then. So our job to be as we are where we are now is to be light. You got to, you got to brighten your light. Comprehend what light is. Then look at the consequences of hiding your light. You hiding your light may cause somebody to stumble into the darkness forever. You don't want to be guilty of causing somebody to miss knowing Jesus, because you hid your light when they needed it the most. Okay, come with me for just a minute. You're not leaving the room. You're in the bed, but somebody's got to leave at a time before you. And they try to be as considerate as possible and dress as much as they can in the darkness. But to get that final approval, they got to turn on the light. Now, none of us like being in the bed trying to sleep and somebody cut that light on. First thing we ask, who turned that light on? Because we like and have gotten accommodated to the darkened condition. Now, if I hide my light and there's somebody on their way to hell, all they need is a little light to see that the direction they're going is the wrong way, but I'm going to hide my light, and so they're going to keep on a darkened path. This is what Jesus is talking about. He said, now let your light so shine. If you let your light do what it's supposed to do, Eric, it's going to shine. They make vehicles now, what they call with running lights. Your lights stay on all the time. They on in daylight and they on at night. But you know, a vehicle that runs headlights in the daytime can be seen better than a vehicle that does not have on lights during the daytime, and especially when it's raining, you need to turn your lights on. So I need to just ask y'all a personal question, since y'all took the time to log me in. Why y'all keep hiding your light? Everybody talking about when we get back to the church, what the time is going to be. How about having a time where you are and just being light? See, it used to be a day and a time. It used to be a day and a time when certain people didn't have to say nothing. They just walked up. Let me say it like this. You know, when I was, a young boy, a lad of a boy, much more of a boy than I am now, and we were trying to be grown, Jones. So in order for us to try to be grown, we tried to do grown folk stuff. You ain't never been there, huh? Trying to do stuff before your time, and now I'm able to do that stuff, and I found out now it's overrated. But one of the things that, I don't know, for whatever reason, because I thought it was a sign of being a man, is that using profanity was mine. I wanted to be able to just say some stuff. Just put some stuff together like them grown folk and just say it. And so we get together, me and some of my boys, and that's all we did, man, Eric. We just hooked some trains up. just said some stuff. And we'd be yappity yap 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 and I yap yap and I be this and I be that. And then a grown person walk up and we'd shut up. Because I didn't want the report to go back to my mom and them that I was out there acting mannish. Now look that word up, Google it, because that's going to be over some of y'all head. But I didn't want them to hear that I was somewhere being mannish. No, you ain't want that to get back home. Because if that got back home that I was being mannish, then my mama going to ask, what was he doing? And then say, oh, he was cussing. Oh, so he grown now. I'm going to take care of that. I'm going to handle that. My point is, there were some people who lived a life to a level that all they had to do was lend their presence to a situation and the darkness fled. Now, 4 or 5 of y'all remember, you can call the name right now, that you grew up, you didn't want certain people to see you doing certain stuff. And they were not your parents. They were not even akin to you. But you didn't want them to see you cussing. You didn't want them to see you around the school with no. You didn't want them to see you doing stuff because they lived a life that was so bright that you just knew they represented Jesus. Check your light right quick. Check your light. How bright is your light? You know, the battery get low, the light get dim. And you don't watch it, it'll go out on you because the lack of the battery having the power to recharge. And so we need to then get out the way. That's he said, let. You know how it used to be back in the day when we used to fight? Folk don't fight no more, so don't be talking no more. They don't play like that no more. Don't even cut no more. They shoot now. So, you know, if you got a chance to lead, best say here it go, then here it lay. But back in the day, man, when we were growing up, they put some dirt in between two folk who were huffing and puffing and say, whichever one of y'all the bad one, just knock it on the other first, and you know. And so they were egging the fight on, and then we go to fighting, and we didn't even know why we was fighting. Then light come on, and we figured out that the fellow who started the fight wasn't even in the fight. But he wanted the fight to start. So Jesus said, I want your light to shine. Here it is. Let your light so shine. Let your light so shine. The first thing we got to look at here is concentrate on brightening your light. It's okay to encourage somebody. It's okay to suggest to me I need to look at what I'm doing. But I promise you that if you spend 6 months sweeping around your own front door and the other 6 months minding your own business, you won't have time to tell mine. Now, what sense does it make for you to make sure my light bright and you don't have one? Jesus said that, listen, the light is designed. I am designed to show up in you and to show out through you if you just be who you're supposed to be. You remember when they arrested Jesus? It was Peter and John that followed. The text said, afar off. And Peter was just going to blend in. John was a little closer to Jesus, but Peter kind of fell back into the crowd and was going to blend in. You know how when you know you don't have no business being where you are, talk to me if you can. And you try to fit in where you are, knowing that you don't even feel what's going on. And so, here Peter warming himself, the Bible said, by the enemy's fire. And he forgot that he was trying to fit in, so he started being himself. And this little girl walked up to him and said, hey, aren't you one of them? He's like, what you talking about? Light leaking out. Light shining. He said, no, I don't know him. I don't know what you're talking about. That was the first time. And she goes away and she listens to his talk. I think I made this illustration once before, but you know, people who know how to use profane language that are professionals at it, they know how to put the accents on the words. And somebody who trying to use profanity but not, you know, they cursing, they ain't cussing. I'm going to let that just hang in there for a minute, because see, some of y'all know the difference between a cursor and a cusser. C-U-R-S-E, curse, and then C-U-S-S, cuss. And a cusser knows where to put the accents at. And you can tell they've been doing it for a while. The girl started listening to Peter. She said, yeah, you one of them, because your speech betray you. And that's when he lost it. And she came back that third time, and the Bible said, then he cursed her. And the rooster started preaching then. He told you so. And the Bible said then he made eye contact with Jesus and wept bitterly, because he remembered what Jesus told him, that before the rooster crow, you deny me 3 times. You ever not denied Jesus? You ever been in a spot where folks say, don't you go to Union Baptist? You're like, nah, I don't go down there no more. Have you ever been put on the spot and you in that spot you couldn't admit that you was a preacher, you couldn't admit that you was a deacon, you couldn't admit that you sang in the choir, you couldn't admit that you teach Sunday school, you couldn't admit that you knew Jesus? You ever been there? I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, because somebody going to know your business. But have you ever been there that you were in a place that you had no business being in the first place, and then somebody wanted to suggest that you were light in darkness? You got to concentrate on letting that light shine. Jesus said, let your light shine. And here it is. He said, let your light shine where? Before men. Now, this men here is the idea before the world. Not just letting it shine among more light. What kind of sense does it make that me and Jones have lost something and we both got a light, and neither one of us shining on the dark, and we shining on each other, saying, man, my light brighter than your light. No, my light brighter than your light. And that's what a whole lot of church services had been like prior to this pandemic. We had gotten to the point where we would go through the motion. We'd try to out-sing one another. We'd try to out-preach one another. We'd try to out-dance one another. We'd try to out-speak in tongue with one another. We want the prominent seat. We're going to get to the front seat. We didn't want to be in the back. We had all these little competitions that we had going on non-verbally. I want everybody to say teach and preach when I'm up, and then when I'm down, I'm asleep, or act like I don't care what's going on. And if I'm leading the song, I want everybody to background, but then when I'm somebody else singing, I don't sing background because I'm a lead singer. This is Bible study. I'm almost to get a preaching feeling here. He said, let your light so shine before men, not before the church members. Because you come over here and try to prove to us that you saved when we know that you're not, because, you know, your daily walk don't equal with your church walk. Some of y'all right now, boy, I tell you, you give everything you got. You give your eye teeth to be back to where you used to be, congregating in the church. And what did we do with it when we had it? Went through the motions. Lord, I guess I gone out into this church. I sure hope Pastor don't preach too long. And now y'all talking about, man, he ought to preach a little longer. We ain't got nowhere to go now. We at the house. He said, let your light so shine. Where? Before men. These men are men that need light. I'd argue that these men, women, boys, and girls are the ones that need light. Now, if I got light, I don't need light. If I am light, I don't need light shining for me. He said, let your light so shine before who? Men. And what we were doing was specializing in shining our light on one another. And the folk that needed the light were on their way to hell. We get in our car, lock our door, and lead the folk in the hood on our way to the Lord's house. And never offered Christ, never said anything to them about, hey, look here, man, next Sunday, I want you to be ready to go to church with me. But now, God put us at the church house and put us back in the hood. Now, are you light where you are, or are you hiding your light? A couple things that the author suggests to us here, that if we're really going to let our light shine, concentrate on getting our light out there, he said, now, let your light so shine before men. Now what? Here it is, Jones. I'm going to shine my light, and this is what they're going to see when they see my light. Right here in the text. I ain't making this up. He said, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works. Good works. And in couching those good works, what they're going to see is they're going to see stuff like me serving God. That's good works. Living according to his will, walking according to his word, and being a witness. They're going to be able to see in me Christ. I don't have to tell them that I go to Union Baptist. That's immaterial to the situation. What I need to tell them is I've been by the cross. Because that's where the connect took place. At the cross is where I first saw the light. And then the burdens of my heart was rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight. Now, when men watch me work, they should not see me, but they ought to see God through me. When men see me working, here it is. What kind of work, Larry? That's the thing. You lost sight on what work really was. You thought work was holding down your seat in that section at the church on your pew. That's not work. That's supposed to be worship. Church attendance is supposed to have been about, I was glad, David said, when they said unto me, let us go up unto the house of the Lord. Not to go up and sit like a knot on a log. Because it was to go worship. And to worship means to be animated and to participate and become involved, not be served. But good works, where are the good works then, Larry? I'm glad you asked. You remember over there when Jesus said, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was sick, you came to visit me. When I was in prison, you came to see about me. And they said unto him, when, Lord? When, Lord, did we see you naked? When, Lord, did we see you hungry? When, Lord, were you sick? He said that when you done it unto these, the least ones, you done it unto me. Good works is serving humanity. And I've always told y'all that I shouldn't have to keep reminding us how God brought us out of Katrina 2005. How our lives literally changed, and he sent help from all the way around the world to literally deliver us. And then when there's trouble somewhere else, I got to beg y'all to get stuff together and to come to people rescue. You got folks living on your street that's got a need. You can meet it, but you don't like them. You got folk on your street need something. You know they need it. You can provide it, but they won't ask you. Listen what Jesus said. He said, when you saw them hungry and fed them, that was me. You know, the last great opportunity God gave us just before the pandemic came was we did our warm heart drive, where we was able to gather coats and share them with the community. And those are the kind of things that when we are back home, we got to capitalize on more of those than on church services. Because it's been proven that we can make it without being in the church house. Yes, it has. We yet alive. And those who are really on the mission, you tuning in, even though it's online, it's not in person, but it's personal, and it's important enough to you that you're still connected, you want to still be a part of. So while you're going through the pandemic, what you ought to be trying to find out is, how can I turn up my light on my way through? See, because now the pandemic, though it is hurting a lot of people, there are people in food lines, there are people without money. All of us are not in a food line, and all of us ain't broke. God fixed it so that some of us could have, so we could serve. Somebody should have threw some hands at me on the timeline then. I'm going to say it one more time. God fixed some of us in here so that we could serve. All of us ain't broke. All of us ain't standing in a food line. God put enough in our houses or means to get it so that we could then bless somebody else. But what we going to do? We're going to go to the store and just buy enough stuff just for us. And we're going to say they need to get it. You may have what they need to get. Let your light so shine that men may see what? Your good works. Now, I got to get to the glorified part for my time right now. But can I ask you a question? What happened those days when you didn't have? It was not a pandemic, but God sent somebody into your life to help you get over. Now, somebody are going to be a witness here. I testify then, since y'all won't say nothing. I see you, Nanice. Thank you for the hand. Somebody ought to praise him. Listen, I've not been where I am all my life. There have been some days where I didn't have what I do have now. But God placed some people in my life that took care of me when I didn't have. So now that I do have, I ought not keep everything I got. For the Bible gave me an assurance, Jones. It said that if I lend to the poor, I really am loaning to the Lord. And I hadn't met God yet, not one time since I've known him, that he hadn't covered his debt. Reason why some of y'all don't have nothing right now is because you're hoarding everything. Got more tissue than you're going to use all year. Get somebody a packet of tissue. Just go on by. You ain't got to go in the house. Just put it on the doorstep, ring the doorbell, and leave. Just bless somebody. That they may see your good works and glorify the Father which is in heaven. Some folk, they don't be asking you for nothing. They just talking because they need to get some pressure off and sharing with you what they're going through. And you're listening and having a means to meet the need, and you too low down to go on and help them out. You ain't got to tell them you paid the light bill. Go down to the light bill place and say, I want to put something on the bill for 1509 DuPont Avenue, and put it on the bill. Go on about your business. That's between you and the Lord. You can be a blessing if you want to be one. You don't see. The reason why you don't want to bless nobody, because you want somebody to praise you for what you're doing. You want somebody to brag on you. Hey, tell them what I did for you. You just cut your blessing off. Matthew 6, come here and talk to me for a minute. When you do alms before men, don't do them as the Pharisees and the Sadducees done them, standing on street corners so men can brag on you. He said, when you do benevolent work, when you do ministry, he said, do it so that your left hand won't know what your right hand doing. And we've been suffering because we ain't been doing nothing. Put $1 in the benevolent offering every Sunday just so you won't be looking bad when the tray come by. Now you wish you can put some money in the benevolent fund. But we got to concentrate, let the church say concentrate on brightening up your light. Notice now, he says, thank you, Holy Ghost. Notice now, basically what he says in 16, could I say it like this here? He says, Larry, let your light. He says, Larry, let your light. If we would stop trying to empower other folk and tell them what to do with their light and their life and handle our own, Jesus said it like this. He said, how is it that you can see a speck of dust in your brother's eye and you got a log of problems hanging out your eye and you can't see? Everybody know what I need to do to get to heaven. Them preachers, they need to do this, and them preachers, they need to do that, and them preachers ain't right. You see all of my shortcomings. And you walking around with a giant sequoia sticking out your head. Jesus said, how can you do that? If I've got to concentrate on letting the light that God has placed in me shine the best I can. Number one thing I got to do here is I need to acquire a permanent positive attitude. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute because, see, some of y'all could, really use an attitude adjustment. I've got to develop, acquire a permanent positive attitude. Let's run over to Philippians chapter 4 right quick and verse number 8. Most of you using electronic devices anyway. Philippians 4 and 8. Let's run over there real quickly and see what nuggets we find there. Paul was talking to the church at Philippi, and basically he was really telling them that, hey, you got to watch what goes in you, because the saying in the computer world is garbage in, garbage out. That means if you don't put nothing but trash in, you're gonna be trashy. That's why we couldn't be raised on Three Musketeers and Snickers when I was growing up. We had to eat collard greens and, sweet potatoes and white potatoes. We had to eat some stuff, as my granddad would say, had to eat some stuff to stick to your rib. So here it is. Finally, verse number 8, Philippians chapter 4. Finally, brethren, that is the address to all believers. Whatsoever things, here it is, are true. Whatsoever things are honest. Whatsoever things are just. Whatsoever things are pure. Whatsoever things are lovely. Whatsoever things are of good report. If there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. Now, see, why some of y'all are so sometimey in your attitude is because you are thinking on the wrong stuff. You be talking about stuff like, yeah, I'm going to get them before they get me. Well, you're not going to have a positive attitude because you're going to think everybody out to get you, and don't nobody want you. Ain't nobody after you, but you just because you, oh yeah, if they come to me, I'm already ready. You just harboring hatred. You're harboring animosity. You're harboring anger. You're like a pressure cooker. You're just waiting to explode. Just give me a reason to go off, and you can't operate like that. Light. Look, you got to acquire a permanent positive attitude. You got to make them wonder why you smiling. instead of why you're frowning. Now, I don't know how they come up with this, but I like it. They say it takes 15 muscles to frown, and it don't take but 7 to smile. And some of y'all ought to lay some of your muscles off because you working them overtime. Always got a scowl on your face. Ain't nothing never right. Could you imagine going through the pandemic and live in China or live in Indonesia or any other country in the world? We in the best country in the world, and look how it is here. And God didn't put you in India and have you go through the pandemic. He didn't put you in the bush in Africa and send you through the pandemic. What am I saying? I'm saying that your attitude ought to be better just because where you're located. Nothing bothers me more than to hang around some po-mouthing people. Everything out their mouth is a complaint. I know you ain't never heard them folk because you the one talking. Everything out their mouth is a complaint. Everything out of their mouth is a complaint. Look at the text finally, brother. Whatsoever things are true. How many of us are more willing to believe a lie than we are the truth? Somebody tell us the truth, and now that ain't true. They come along and lay down a lie, and we swallow hook, line, and sinker and run with it and say that's the truth because they told it. Paul says here in this text, he says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, and whatsoever things are what? Honest. And some of y'all don't even know nothing about being honest, because you trick your way everywhere you go. Whatsoever things are just, and whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely. Don't always see that it's cloudy. It's partly cloudy. I call it partly sunny. The glass is half full instead of half empty. If I'm standing up and I fell down 7 times, that means I got up 8. Y'all ain't gonna help me here. I said if I'm standing up and I've fallen down 7 times, that means I've gotten up 8. If you're standing, you've gotten up more than you've fallen. So I ought to be blessing God that I'm still standing. So I got to develop that permanent positive attitude. I've got to make sure that there is nothing negative in my vibes. You know, if you pray God to give you the ability to discern spirits, and some of y'all know what I'm talking about, some folk can walk up to you and you just go to feeling right off the bat that they ain't no good. Now, I ain't talking about nobody. Jesus said you'll know the tree by the fruit. But because I asked the Lord to help me with this and to help me discern spirits, I try the spirit by the spirit, and some spirits are evil when they first come up. So you ought to, every time you walk up, you ought to be giving out positive vibes. You shouldn't, if you're a child of God, if you're a believer, you ought not always have something to complain about. The lyrics said it like this: count your blessings. Let church say, count your blessings one by. And whenever I get depressed, Jones, and it happens every now and then, go to feeling sad, feeling bad, I start reminding myself of what God has already done. What they said the other day, if he doesn't do anything else for me. I said, if he doesn't do anything else for me, he's already done enough. My mama, boy, she taught us these lessons. They coming back now and making a whole lot of sense now, Eric. They didn't make much sense back then. But she taught us one lesson was gratitude, to be grateful for whatever it was that you had. It wasn't what you wanted, but she made sure that we had what we needed. Y'all heard me tell the story, but it fits right here again. How I wanted them Chuck Taylors, they call them now, Converses, and I wanted me some Levi blue jeans. We wore dungarees. You catch it on the way home. The dungarees had a plastic patch on the back, and there wasn't even no name on it. The blue jeans had Levi, and it was like it was branded on there. And them Chuck Taylors, them Converse, they would stop on a dime, and they go, skis. I had them eggshell about them. When I wanted to stop, I started here. By the time I got to that first pew, I'd be done pulled up. And I just went at my mama one day, and I just told her, look here, mama. I said, Mama, I don't mean no harm. I said, but now, Alfonso got some Converses, and he got some Levi's. And my mama, she still being saved, y'all. If you see her, tell her she ain't there yet. She's on the wheel, and she sure was on the wheel while she was raising us, so I'm going to clean this up. She began to delineate to me how she would take tomato and mayonnaise sandwiches to work for lunch. So she wouldn't have to spend lunch money, so she could go to the store and pay on my layaway for me to have some clothes to put on my narrow behind. I'm cleaning it up. And after she got through explaining to me what it took to have on the dungarees and the eggshell bottom shoes, I felt so bad that I ever complained about it. She taught me how to be grateful and thankful for whatever was provided for me that I couldn't provide for myself. Now, what you saying, preacher? I'm saying that if you could think on his goodness and see what he's already done, some 60,000+ people have heard the steady march of the chariot wheel and gone to try a world unknown to man. Another almost 100,000 are in hospitals on ventilators or wherever they are, sick with the virus. And look at you. Though you're in the house, you're still well. Though you're in the house, you ain't got the virus. And you complaining about they won't let nobody leave the house. I can't go nowhere. I can't see my grandbaby. They're going to be bad when you see them. You'll be all right. But we are complaining about a blessing is what it is. So change your thinking. I said change your thinking. If you change your thinking, then your attitude automatically follows. Boy, I'm almost made it up to 8 o'clock already. God almighty. Let me say it one more again. If you change your thinking, your attitude will follow. I ought to have at least about 50 witnesses on this line that can agree with me. Look, text says, so a man thinketh, so is that man. But what that man thinking may not be so. See, because 4 or 5 of y'all think y'all all that in a bag of chips. But God showed you he can do it without you. He leveled the playing field. Right along through here, T.D. Jakes, that pastors the Potter's House, right along through here, about 5,000 members per service, is on the same level Larry Hawkins that lead Union Baptist. We are both talking to empty pews. Gonna catch it on the way home. Oh, you already home, I'm sorry. You ought to be done caught it by now then. God leveled the playing field, and all preachers, if they're preaching, if they're doing what they're supposed to do according to the CDC, don't have no more than 10 people around them at any given time. Don't matter how big the building is, we all talking to a microphone, looking at a camera, hoping somebody tune us in online. The members of the Potter House probably thought they were better than us because they didn't come to the U, but they doing the same thing you doing. They tuning in their pastor online. God showing us he can do it without us. So what you need to do is adjust your attitude. My mama told me one day, sniff one more time. I'm going to give you something to sniff for. And that was them attitude adjustments. Keep on crying. I'm going to give you something to cry for. And right through here, if our light is going to shine brightly, we've got to adjust our attitude. While we're at the house, instead of complaining about being in the house, praise God you got a house to be in. If I had time, I'd agree that the preacher said something then. If you're in a house, you ought to praise God that you have a house to be in. Lord, have mercy, Jesus. You got to, I want to thank my YouTube family. They texted me. They let me know they over there too. Thank you, YouTube, for tuning in. My time, look, my time done ran. Can I borrow just a few minutes? Which since y'all already home, I'm not going to make you late getting home. Let me borrow a few minutes. The first thing you got to do if you're going to concentrate on your light is you've got to acquire a permanent positive attitude. Then the second thing you need to do when you get a chance, because right now you can't do this right now because of the pandemic, you're at the house. But the second thing you need to do is apply yourself at school, at work, wherever you are, you need to apply yourself. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says it like this. Whether therefore you eat or drink, whether you therefore eat or drink or whatsoever you do. 1 Corinthians 10:31, get it. Mark it. You need it. Here it is. The B section of that verse says it like this, Dr. Jones. Do all to the glory of God. Whatever I'm doing, wherever I'm doing it, I ought to do it so well that God gets the glory. And folk ask me, say, man, how do you preach in the church empty the same way I preached when they were in here? I wasn't preaching because they were in here. I wasn't teaching because they were in here. It's the reason behind what you do will tell off on you if the reason is taken from you. Boy, I'm out of here. I'm going to get out of here. Apply yourself wherever you are, and in the application of you, let your application be to the point that others will see that you've been changed without you saying the word. So you ain't got to tell folk they going to hell. Somehow that's going to increase your chance of going to heaven, because some of them going to beat us in. Because Jesus said everybody that said, Lord, Lord, wasn't going to. It wasn't going to make it. They wasn't going to make it. Listen, I got to go. I got to get out of here. My time is about gone. But the text says, whatever you do, do it to the glory of God. 1 Corinthians 10:31, B section. Whatever you're doing, do it to the glory of God. And then stop blinding folk with your light. We try to outdress folk. Now can't none of us get dressed. Oh, Lord. We try to out-preach folk. Doc, how many of you looking at on Sunday? All of them looking at 10. I don't care if you got 10,000. If you do it according to the CDC right now, you can't have them in there. How big y'all choir? I don't care how big it is. Right now, all attention is on God. We want to try to outdo each other. we shouldn't be trying to outdo each other, because this is not a competition. We are all in Christ. We all saved, and we all been born again. And so our aim and intent ought to be to do what God would have us to do, and that is to serve him and not ourselves. Verse 3 of chapter 2 of Philippians said it like this: let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in the lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than themselves. When the last time you bragged on somebody else? I mean, you know, folks say stuff like, I can sing better than her. Come on now. Just go and say she's doing a good job. We can't do that. There's somebody in us that won't let us do it. Look, I'm larger when I lift somebody else up than I am when I'm lifting my own self up. The text says, Philippians chapter 2, verse 3, let nothing be done through strife or vainglory. Don't try to outdo nobody. Don't be seeking. Don't be no glory hound. Star searchers looking for the limelight. Want folks to do things for you, but you don't want to do nothing for nobody else. Y'all come on, hear me now. I'm gonna be preaching. Y'all come on, hear me. I'm gonna be teaching. Y'all come on, hear me. I'm gonna be singing. Then when somebody else turn, you won't even share that link. I share as many pastors' reminders about their online worship as I can, because I want somebody to have choices. Because I know whoever's going to tune in to Union Baptist live stream in the Gula going to do it, and it don't take nothing from me to share Good Hope, or share New Era, or share First Baptist Moss Point. It takes nothing from me to share New Bethel and Bishop Frunze. It takes nothing from me to share Tabernacle, the Iberville. It takes nothing from me to share Sonny Adolph and First Missionary Baptist Gulfport. You've got to learn how to help somebody else toot their horn sometimes. And the question is, why are you doing what you're doing? Well, why were you doing what you were doing? He said, but do it in the lowliness of mind. Let each esteem others better than themselves. And the really way I promote myself is by promoting somebody else, because I promise you, all the praise and accolade that God wants you to have, you're going to get it. My time is gone. I'm gonna quit. I ain't through, but I'm gonna just quit. Listen, a couple things and we out of here. This coming Sunday is First Sunday. We'll be observing the Lord's Supper at the end of worship. So get your crackers and get your juice, and get ready for the Lord's Supper this Sunday coming, First Sunday at 10. And on the end of worship, we will do the Lord's Supper. So if you drank all the juice last time and ate all the crackers last time, get you some before Sunday. Amen. Do that now. Our color is gray. Let the church say gray. We're going to have on gray Sunday. I need more pictures. Listen, y'all know how to post them pictures. When you want to post something nasty and negative to somebody on Facebook, you post that stuff. I'm going to put that post up again Sunday, and you need to drop that picture in where you have shown me that you've gotten up, gotten dressed, and you watching online service as if you were coming to church. Y'all keep talking about when we get back, but you ain't dressing like you want to come back. God don't want you over here in your pajamas and got your little bonnet on your head and on your little moo-moo dress on and your gym shorts and muscle shirt. Man, God don't want us like that. Give God your best. If he bless you all week long, on Sunday morning, you ought to get out that bed, get yourself all gusset up, and look like, Lord, if you gave me a chance, I'd go to church. Color is gray. That's why Ada tell them, but they going to have on pink or something else. It's gray. That's right, Marjorie, it's gray. Go on and get something now. You already they ain't got to buy nothing, because see, we done been through all these color schemes before. See how God works? You done been through every color scheme I'm going to give you. Now, you might not be able to get in your gray, but you got some. Y'all know I love you. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Miss Benita get ready to drop that slide down on me. She about ready to close out and start playing that music. Y'all better talk to her, because she about ready to tell me my time been gone. Get ready for Sunday. Now, those of us who join us on tomorrow, 12:15, a word and a prayer. We're preaching about the mind. We're preaching about handling mental issues on Tuesdays and Thursdays right now. So we'll be back tomorrow at 12:15 with a word and a prayer. Tune us in then. I really love you. Miss Benita's queuing up the music. She's getting ready to drop the slide down and get us out of here. But I will see you tomorrow at 12:15, and we'll share a word and a prayer. God bless your hearts. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it but love me back because you're a child of God. Be blessed, and we'll see you tomorrow.